Welcome to Norwegian Modeling Bench. This is Kenneth, and today we will be covering the deck of the Missouri. So I'm using the wooden deck from Pontos and the PE details that comes with the detail up set. So starting out with the anchors, some plastic surgery needs to be done to get them to point in the correct direction. Otherwise, it will naturally fold backwards. Starting out with the PE part that's going on the forecastle, adding some of the basic parts at least to this one before working on the deck itself. So you need to drill out these holes for the anchor chain and remove a lot of the different protruding parts from the deck itself. There are in the instructions from Pontos you will find which parts that needs to be removed using a chisel and then sanding back, so you get a smooth, nice surface for what's coming up next. Then I'm painting up the parts that are protruding through the PE and the wooden deck. So I'm giving them at least a haze gray color. Of course, not necessarily correct for at least for the anchor chain part, but otherwise it should be correct. And then I'm pre-painting all the PE parts. So first, of course, starting out with a metal primer, then a regular primer. At least I'm using the extreme metal primer, which gives a really good bond. And then painting up the parts in the different colors, or the deck blue color in this case. And for those of you that are wondering about my spray booth, I've gotten a lot of questions about this one. It has a water curtain that you will see in a short moment, which then catches a lot of the overspray that you otherwise would get in the spray booth. Here you can see that. And this would otherwise clog up the filter, of course, but instead it will go into the water and into the filter that you can see beneath the curtain itself. So you don't get a clogged up filter that quickly, at least. So giving these a good lick of paint, deck blue, and then letting them cure. I'm also painting up the wooden deck before I install it on the ship. That, at least for me, I think it's a lot easier than trying to apply paint after the deck has been laid down. And you also get, well, you don't get the crisp lines that I like, at least. So you can do this as you want, of course, and have the coverage that you would like to. So I like to have a bit of a worn look. And then, of course, it's really important that this dries completely, a couple of days at least, before moving on. And then painting up these in navy blue, those tubs in the stern area, before attaching the deck to the hull itself. Of course, one can, as you know, I have painted the sides, so you have an area which has paint and another area which has not paint. So the glue adhesion, of course, will be a bit limited, but this extra thin cement from Tamiya, it really dissolves a lot of the paint. So when you have this much bond area, I don't think it's necessarily a big problem. I've never gotten any problems afterwards, at least. But if the bond area was small, I would reconsider doing it this way. Then you need to scrape off the paint, or not paint, of course, the glue area at all. So working through the hull, the sides, applying paint, and then letting it dry. And then, of course, starting to install the wooden deck. So I'm using Gorilla wooden glue and just a paintbrush to get a good, not coverage, but that it's not too thick in areas. So applying that throughout the deck. The forecastle wooden deck gave me a bit of an issue. When removing the deck itself from the backing paper or the backing plastic, a lot of parts came off. So this was really a huge salvage operation, but at the end it came out very well, I would say. But as you can see, a lot of parts actually was left back on the plastic backing paper. So I spent quite a lot of time salvaging the deck itself, doing some mistakes. I don't know if you can notice. I won't tell. But all in all, it panned out actually quite well. But be aware of this when removing the deck from that backing paper. The stern part was no issue at all. That panned out as it should. So same approach, using wooden glue, getting a good cover on the deck itself before adding the wooden deck to the glue. So the approach here is then to start in the middle and work out towards the edges, so you push out the excess glue, and making of course sure that it aligns properly with the different parts and the edges of the hull itself. And then before going ahead with anything, you need to let this dry at least a couple of days. If you add varnish to the deck before you do that, then you will definitely get into trouble. And then installing the PE part to the forecastle here, just using E6000 and pushing that PE part into place and positioning it. You also have some anchor chain parts that need to go on, and here I'm also installing the base for the breakwater, which we will work on afterwards, or the next installment that would be. But those I've also then added those anchor chains tie downs. They probably have a good marine name, which I'm not necessarily remembering at this point in time. But adding those before I went ahead and installing those PE parts on the sides, the gutter it's called in the instructions, and there are a lot of them, so a pretty sand operation, I would say. And make sure that you have those spaces for the bits that go on the sides later on. I also did some work afterwards, painting up the areas that you can see in the plastic gray color here. So that wouldn't be too visible later on, but I wanted it to do it like this, so I could easily see parts that would be missing. Otherwise that would be very hard to see. So I varnished the deck and then weathered the deck, as you can see here. So you can also see a bit of sheen from the gloss varnish, which will of course be corrected later when applying some matte varnish. So then I've covered the deck itself. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe if you don't, and I do appreciate comments. So until next time, stay safe.